This is a brand new soap from Jimbo's Detailing Products, coming in with a pH of 8.5, and he advertises it as an industry-first, touch-free solution for your car wash. Now I've got my little pH test set here, so we're gonna be testing where it actually lies in the whole pH scale, see if it's accurate at 8.5 or if it's higher or lower. We'll also be talking about, is it safe for everyday use? Does it bleach out anything like the plastic? So let's go ahead and get into this. So in today's video, we're gonna be putting this through its paces, comparing it to one of my favorites, Koch Chemie Active Foam. And then also talking about, I actually made a video in the past talking about Geon Foam, which is another higher alkaline soap, foaming soap that does a really good job of where you spray it on, you let it just kind of sit and dwell, it breaks down a lot of the contamination, you rinse it away for a touch-free or touchless car wash. Now, typically, especially depending on where you are, that can still leave a film on the vehicle, and a contact wash is always recommended. But this one here, again, industry first. That may be a play on another thing from the past. I'm not exactly sure, Jimbo, you can jump in on that. But guys, let's go ahead and jump into this. I paid $18 for this 16-ounce size. I actually did order this myself, bought it. So when you consider the cost per use, it's quite an expensive product. $18 for 16 ounces comes to $1.13 per ounce of product used. Now the directions state 2 different ways to use this: in a bucket wash or foaming, and also, sorry, 3 ways I guess, and also as a pre-treatment. So right here, guys, I'll go ahead and read this to you. The dilution ratios for a foam cannon: 4 ounces of soap per 32 ounces of water. So typically your foam cannon is about 32 ounces. So 4 ounces. That is $4.50 or so per use if you're using the full foam cannon all the way through on the vehicle. So really, really expensive. Now he does offer this in a full gallon size. The gallon comes in at $76, and that brings your price down to 59 cents per ounce. So much, much more economical to go that route. Now when you compare that to Active Foam, which is my favorite of the higher alkaline soaps, Koch Chemie actually also offers Super Foam, which is even higher alkaline. For me personally, this stuff works better in my situations than Super Foam does. Active Foam is my go-to. It also smells extremely good, and the 1 liter bottle comes in at about $20. So at that price, 60 cents per ounce, or you can buy it in a 5 liter as well, and that comes to 44 cents per ounce. Now this stuff, another benefit about this is that it's so highly concentrated. I use about an ounce, a little under an ounce, but just say an ounce per use case. So with this $20 bottle, I'm spending 60 cents per wash versus this one coming in at, what was that, $4.50? 4 ounces, $1. Yeah, say $4.50. Now back to the dilution ratios, because I said we do have other options. As a pre-treatment or a bucket wash, same dilution, 1 ounce of soap per gallon of water. So I was at a customer's house, had a white Jeep Wrangler that had been off-roading. Now the paint wasn't terrible. It was definitely some buildup and contamination stuff on it for sure. Definitely dirty, but it wasn't like covered in filthy mud. The tires, however, were completely brown from them being out and having fun in this thing. So I mixed up some pre-treatment at the 1 ounce per 1 gallon and took a foam sprayer, started pre-treating the tires to really see how that works, and also pre-treating some of the other areas, the front, the grill, and things like that. Now in the video that Jimbo made on this, he showed spraying down the tires and it releasing a lot of the brown from the tire, which looked really good. And those tires didn't look super brown to start with. This one that I'm working on, they're brown, right? So this is gonna do a good job breaking that away. And as you can see here, the soap that's running off of this and running down the driveway here is completely brown. It's really, really contaminated, and it's doing a good job of stripping that stuff off. Then I filled up my foam cannon, again, 4 ounces into my foam cannon, and started foaming it. 2 things to note. One is it foams extremely well. Now, with that said, I am using an MJJC foam cannon. Those get a ton of foam, but it definitely does foam very, very well. You get a nice thick foam. However, with 4 ounces of product, I would hope that it does. Active Foam is probably slightly less foam, but again, I'm using 1 ounce. If I doubled that, then I'm gonna be getting a crazy amount of foam. So again, just a little comparison there. Item number 2 is the scent of this stuff smells like a proper cleaning product. It doesn't smell fruity. It doesn't smell anything like that. It smells like a proper cleaning product. It actually kind of reminds me of a Built Hamburger product, which again, their soaps are fantastic. So, and actually the performance kind of reminds me of that as well. We'll get into that here shortly. But the active foam stuff it's got I can't remember what the scent is, but it's one of my favorite scents as well. Okay, so now back to the foam cannon. We foam up the vehicle, and again, guys, the foam looks fantastic. Everything's going good. We're gonna let this dwell. I think he states 3 to 5 minutes. I was out in direct sunlight. I am using deionized water, so I'm fine there. I didn't pre-rinse the vehicle, so I did go directly on. I'm gonna let it sit for 3 minutes. I was probably a little bit over that, but about 3 minutes before I start rinsing the vehicle off. And as you can see here, I'm just gonna walk around. This is the soap is still sitting on the surface, but you can see some of the areas. It looks like it's breaking everything down. It does look like it's doing a good job there. So now it's time to rinse. We're going around the vehicle. And guys, I have to tell you, a lot of the things that are stuck on the surface, you know, those larger contaminants that get stuck on there are blasting off from the pressure washer. Just the pressure from the nozzle coming out is removing that stuff. I'm not having to go in and do an agitation or a contact wash. It's coming right off. Everything seems to be doing really, really good. So again, I'm very happy with that. Now, Active Foam also does that. I would say if I had to compare these side by side on the ability to break down those little contaminants, I would say Active Foam is about 90 to 95% of what this is doing. This is outperforming it. I would say, I think at least in this use case, this is outperforming it, but Active Foam is right there with it. And then for me, again, you have to look at the cost per use case. And again, I'm using 4 ounces of soap here versus here I'm using, say, 1. If I doubled that up or 4x'd it, that could also boost my cleaning ability because of the pH level of the soap on the contact. Now, as you can see, guys, I have my little chemistry set here. I'm actually gonna be testing the actual pH of these products here shortly. So to see exactly where this thing lands, again, I think he has it listed at 8.5. Active Foam comes in at 9.5. Okay, now back to the vehicle. We're still rinsing it down, and now I'm letting it dry off a bit, right? And here's one thing. I'm gonna kind of zoom into the tires. And the tires are much, much cleaner, but there is definitely still some stuff, especially in the deeper treads. It didn't get all the browning out. I really wasn't expecting it to, especially with how brown they were initially. It was pretty embedded. So overall, I think it did a fantastic, for maintenance washes and things like that, I always recommend not over cleaning your tires because you can remove some of the chemicals that are in the tire that help with longevity and keeping the tire soft and all that kind of stuff. So you don't want to overly clean them. So I think this is probably a really good choice for that, for just maintenance stuff. I could have scrubbed them out as well, and then it should have been, you know, it would have been good to go. But again, I'm just trying to do this as touch-free as possible. Okay, now another thing in Jimbo's video that he made on this product is the vehicle, he actually foamed it on, let it dwell, rinsed it off, and then took a clean microfiber and wiped off the back window, the side windows, you know, a bunch of different areas. And there was no dirt on the towel. And for me, I'm gonna show you guys a clip here. I'm zooming in on the windshield of the Wrangler. And as you can see there, there's definitely a ring from where the wipers go. And then outside of that, there's definitely dirt on the surface. So in my use case, it wasn't that. The windows definitely had to have contact for it to remove all the grime on there. In his video, again, and I'm not saying it one way or the other, every vehicle is a little bit different. This Wrangler sits outside all the time. And then when they do drive it, they're driving it out and having fun in the Wrangler the way it's meant to be used. So that's a pretty rough case scenario here. But I wanted to use that because I did want to put this through the paces to see what it could achieve in a situation like that. All right, guys, so that's the kind of overall first experience that I had with this. Now, that vehicle, I actually did foam this back on, use it as a contact wash. It felt nice and slick. All that was good. And he does recommend that you can do that as well. So all of that stuff was good. The only downside I have of this product so far, because I think it works well, is the cost. One other thing I wanted to note, he does state that it doesn't cause any fading or anything like that on plastic parts. And on this Jeep, there's plenty of plastic parts, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. When we go around the window trim, the fenders, like all that stuff, all the trim looks perfectly fine, perfectly intact, no issue at all. There's one section up towards the cowling up by the window That part is pretty bleached out. Not any fault to the product though. That's just, that part has always been like that. So I put protection on it, just dress it up a bit. This stripped off the dressing and that's why it's looking like that. So it's a good soap to strip all that stuff away. If you're wanting to maintain the dressing you put on there, then maybe don't go with this because it can potentially strip that. But again, it didn't degrade the plastics at all. All that looks really, really good. Okay guys, now with all of that said, let's go ahead and test the actual pH of what these products are actually at right out of the bottle. I have my little pH gauge here. I already calibrated it. I have these different solutions. You have to calibrate the meter here. It's all set and ready to go, so let's jump into it. Alrighty guys, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and pour in straight product, no dilution at all. I just gotta pour in enough that I can actually get the reading with this. So we're gonna pop this off, turn this thing on, let it register here. Okay, here we go. So in order to use this, I have to put it in, swish it around, let it sit, and then it'll give us a reading. All right, guys, and basically when this thing gives me a little happy face, that means it's calibrated. I'm gonna turn this around, hopefully it doesn't change anything. I'm sitting at 12.66 on the pH scale. So I don't know, that's very, very high. So maybe at the dilution ratios, it's actually 8.5. Let me go ahead and rinse this off. And just so you guys can see, let's go ahead and grab my calibration solutions again. Green is my pH neutral, so this should be a 7. Let me go ahead and rinse this off though and make sure that we're getting accurate readings because that seems high. If it's listed at 8.5, that seems very high. 7.01 and then smiley face came up. So I don't know guys, that's pretty accurate to me. Let me go ahead and go into the higher solution now. The blue is actually a 10 pH, so let me just check that one. All right guys, we're accurate. We're spot on. So let me go ahead and rinse this one off again and we're gonna stick it back in there again. Maybe that recalibrated it. I don't know. It didn't because I didn't do the calibration system on it, but let's just see because that is way, way off from the listed 8.5. Yeah, we're climbing. It was at 11.1. Yeah, we're climbing. This is crazy. So this is not 8.5 out of the bottle. This is like more equivalent, like I mentioned with Chemie's active foam. This is closer to their super foam because I think that one's a 12 or 12.5, something like that. So, okay. Again, that kind of throws me a little bit, to be perfectly honest, because I was expecting it to be 8.5. Now, let's go ahead and put the active foam in a little jar as well and see where that sits right off the bat. Because, again, maybe it is more at the dilution ratio. With other soaps I've tested, though, it was straight out of the bottle to be that way. So let's see. Active foam. Again, I love this stuff. And I don't know if I've ever done this test with it. Again, smells fantastic. All right, so here we go. Here we go. We are currently at 9.60, 9.62, 61, 60, 5.8, and it's holding at 9.58. 9.58, so this is listed pH 9.5. I'm getting 9.58 on my meter here. This is listed at 8.5 and I was getting 12 point, I don't remember exactly, over 12.5. I don't know what to say about that at all. This doesn't, for me, this is not 8.5 pH. So there you have it, guys. I hope, I don't know. I'm no scientist, right? I'm pretty much a moron, to be perfectly honest with you. But you saw the test. This one, straight from the bottle into it, 9.55 is what the pH was, as it's listed at 9.5. Other soaps that I've done, same thing. What it lists as straight out of the bottle is what it's showing. This one, he says 8.5 on the pH scale, and I am not getting that at all. We're above 12.5, or we'll call it 12.5. It's a little above that. So great working soap. The soap works fantastic. Is it a problem that it's a higher pH? No. Again, super foam. There's some products from Built Hammer that are really high. No, it increases the cleaning ability for sure, right? However, he also states that it's completely safe for ceramic coated vehicles and all that kind of stuff. And I agree with that. but it's not something that I probably wouldn't use it every wash. It would be more of an unclogging type of situation, or maybe a good soap if you're looking to do a ceramic coating and you want to take off all that, take off any sort of contamination buildup that's on the paint. This may be a good source for that. But again, price-wise, quite expensive, $4.50 per use out of a foam cannon if you're using the whole thing. I don't know, it's an interesting one. Jimbo, if you have any comments on this, again, I bought this, I didn't talk to him at all before buying it. When he first launched his 2 products, the hardest shell or toughest shell now, as well as Pure Magic Cleaner, he sent me those to try out, which I actually really like those as well. This one, I love foam cannons, I love washing the car. I was excited to try this stuff out. It's called the Super Soaper. It's just, and again, if I'm just going purely off use case, it works great. Still expensive, but works great. But this whole pH test is really throwing me for a loop. So hopefully, Jimbo, you can jump in the comments and let us know how that sits. Is it 8.5 after it drips off the car? Because I know a lot of these other ones that are higher pH after it drips off the car, when you factor in the panel impact ratio, it's basically neutral at that point. So let us know if you have any comments or suggestions, or have used this. Go ahead and drop a comment and let me know what you think of it. Yeah, that's it, guys. That's it for today's video. Please make sure to like the video, make sure you're subscribed, turn on that notification bell, and we will see you on the next one.